Now, here's a fun application of the concepts that we have just learned. Here's a fact. In most cities around the world, small bookstores that used to be prevalent are disappearing, and most people are getting their books from big e-commerce booksellers like Amazon. Question, is that good or bad for economic efficiency? So I'm going to draw a diagram that is going to explain exactly what's going on in that market. I hope it will give you a lot of insight. Think of this as the quantity that gets produced, and this very large quantity, as the total amount of books that are demanded in society or are produced in society. Now, in blue, I'm going to draw what happens before e-commerce, before the web. Okay? And my claim is that before, in a brick and mortar small scale bookstore, the technology was summarized by an average total cost curve that kind of looked like this. It had a relatively low scale of production, so the quantity at which the average total cost reaches minimum was small, much smaller than the total amount of books, which implies N was large. There were a lot of bookstores. Now, what has happened with the web is that we have introduced a technology that basically has huge fixed costs, these semi-fixed costs that we have been talking about, but basically that's most of the cost. The marginal extra cost is very, very small. So the average total cost curve keeps coming, and think of this as going, asymptotically to this very small marginal cost mu. This is after e-commerce, after the web. And now what is efficient is to have one single firm that takes over the market from a point of view of pure production efficiency, because then what you do is you spread those fixed costs very thinly. You don't have to double pay them, and basically your average total cost becomes very close to mu. And notice that at the cost of reducing the number of bookstores, the average total cost has gone down by a dramatic amount. So from a point of pure productive efficiency, taking only that and only that into account, this arrival of new technologies can reduce cost quite a bit, as the cost of leaving only one or very few number of companies in the market. Now, is this a good or a bad thing overall? We're not ready to give the full answer because we are missing two important things. Number one, we're going to learn in Unit 4 that markets only work well when there are a lot of firms. So there is a trade-off between having this very low cost and the problems that are introduced when there is a very small number of firms in the market. And we'll see that when we start in perfect competition. The second thing is that some people may derive utility from having bookstores around, from living in a kind of town that has bookstores, even if they don't buy on them. And this is not modeled here. This is an instance of what are called externalities and public goods that we will have to revisit down the line. So let me emphasize, this gives you an insight about the gains in economic efficiency from e-commerce, but it's not full analysis about whether it's good or bad for society. I'm clarifying this because you guys ask amazing questions in the discussion board, and I can already see the thread exploding for this.